Here, the 2015 World Championships of Beach Ultimate. I'm Brian Jones here with Ross Christ and Megan Tormey. Megan Tormey of the AUDL and Ross Christ of Dubai Eye. We have ourselves an exciting game here in the Open Division, here with UAE, the home country, versus Kenya. And Ross, can you tell us a little bit about your hometown team?
My adopted hometown team, yes, that is the UAE and Dubai here at beautiful Jumeirah Beach. UAE comes in at 1-1 after a big win against neighboring country Qatar, then after getting blown out by the United States. Today should be more of an even playing field as they're going against a Kenyan team that's more on their level right now. I talked to a local Emirati, Ahmed Al Shamsi, before the game. He says he's excited for the challenge, and today he said he will be going all out and getting what it takes for the victory.
And we see a response from the home country right away to go up 1-0. Megan, on the other side, we have Kenya, a team that's up and coming in the ultimate scene. Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, Kenya, like UAE, is planning on giving 100% today. Team standout Mike McGurk, number 64. This is really kind of a labor of love of his. He moved to Kenya in 2013 for a water purification project, picked up with a local Kenya pickup team, and after realizing that they had some talent on the team, he spent more time cultivating ultimate in his community and said, listen guys, this is something that we can aim for. So they decided they were going to start raising funds and make a shot at coming to this tournament.
And it's great to have them here. A lot of teams from around the world. Well, yesterday we had Kenya actually going 1-1, as well as UAE going 1-1, like you said, Ross. Should be a great game here today. That was Alex Nicewinder coming down with the first goal. Here comes the pole. McPheron centers the disc. Niataya gives it back. Looking for a hammer over the top. For those of you watching Ultimate for the first time, a hammer is an upside down throw that we use to go over the top of the defense here in Ultimate, and we can talk a little bit about the rules as Kenya gets on the board, 1-1.
Grant Maynard with the catch there from the United States. You'll notice there are a few individuals from the United States playing on the Kenya team that does render Kenya ineligible to go past pre-quarters, but they figured they wanted to bring in a few external people to help field a larger team. They only had 7 or 8 Kenyans, I believe, who would be able to come to this tournament, so they'd rather have a more enjoyable experience bringing a larger roster and being ineligible than coming with just a few people at a tournament that is incredibly exhausting.
And the roots of Ultimate come from the North American region, in New Jersey specifically, which is why you see a lot of Americans teaching the game across the world. And you've already gotten your first taste here if you're listening in or tuning in. Tied at 1. This is Beach Ultimate here, played 5-on-5. There are no referees in this game. Disputes are resolved by the players themselves. And play starts with a catch, or in this case, an unfortunate drop for UAE, giving Kenya the disc on the goal line. Teams, though, will try to pass it within each other. They cannot run with the disc, and they have 10 seconds to throw. Trying to pass it to a teammate in the end zone for 1 point. Kenya knocking on the doorstep. McGurk tosses it back. Kamita. Tarrant. Looking for somebody. Has to go back to McGurk. With a give and go move. Inside break for the score, and Kenya goes up 2-1.
UAE with some very impressive defense there. You notice they kept pushing Team Kenya back farther and farther. Mike Malloy made a great cut for that score.
Mike Malloy, the owner of Waveborn Sunglasses, WCBU's style sponsor, so he's getting in the end zone early. No shades on his head, though.
I have seen the Waveborn shades, and they are stylish.
I have a pair of the Waveborn sunglasses.
Well,
because
Megan,
they are
we
so
just
stylish.
know you're part. You know, you're just a step ahead of us.
As long as you acknowledge it.
What a great game so far. Unfortunate mistake for UAE, but that's something that they can recover from. And here we're just in the morning hours, just a great scene on the beach. here at the 2015 World Championships of Beach Ultimate. Kenya getting set to pole. Deep in the end zone, that will go out of bounds. You see the signal from Mulyawan. That clap over the head signals the disc has gone out of bounds on a pole, and they will get it in the middle of the field. Very close defense, but great catch in traffic. Both teams look to be exhibiting a patient style in the early goings. Mulyawan gives it right back. Stagnant cutting here, not many options. Sabin looking for the around, looking for any option whatsoever. Still keeping it alive, Hector. And a block by Kenya, and they look to fast break. No longer available. Malloy is a give and go. Quick movement, McPheron. Looking for options, tight defense. Malloy with the lefty to Chang. Looking to the end zone, caught for the score, 3-1.
Comparing the two offenses that point, UAE didn't do quite as good of a job keeping their players downfield enough to give cut options. They pinned themselves against the sideline and then had trouble moving it down the field. In contrast, Kenya did a good job of keeping enough viable options downfield and making sure their cutters did a good job rotating through so that there was always an incoming cut or at least someone cutting to the side for an easy reset.
It's really offense by defense there with the Kenyan team getting the turnover back there. They're playing a little bit more tenacious on the defensive side of things, which will, lead to more points for them on the offensive side of things.
The pressure is mounting as we get closer or longer and longer into this game. And these teams, started out yesterday with the first round of actual pool play. And everybody seems to be getting their feet wet, so to speak, coming into this tournament. A lot of teams here don't have the chemistry coming in. They're looking to just play with these players for the first time, trying to get better as the week goes on. A lot of games left to be played.
UAE has had the opportunity to play with one another more than probably any other team here. There were tryouts held in October, and the individuals who made the team have been practicing every week on this very beach since October. So they not only have the home field advantage, but they also have an advantage of having played together more than some of the other teams we have here. A lot of the Kenyan individuals do play together in Kenya, but as I mentioned earlier, having pulled in a few outside players just for this tournament, they too are still building chemistry.
To the end zone for the score. UAE brings it within one. Dan Nagel from the United States with the reception. Take a look at the replay. Wide open goal, a defensive lapse from Kenya. We can be certain of a couple of things here. These two teams are sporting some of the best jerseys that you'll see throughout the tournament.
Great threads, for sure.
Last night was trading night here at the marina. Not sure how, everybody has to keep their jerseys for the week, but a lot of them bring extras and try to trade for the best ones. I'm sure that by the end of this, the UAE players will be having the best bargaining chip at the table along with Kenya.
Well, if you like the Kenya jerseys, you don't necessarily have to trade for them. You can buy them. KenyaFrisbee.weebly.com. That's where they're selling their popular Double Happiness jerseys, who were one of the sponsors of this team. As I mentioned earlier, it being just a burgeoning community, they raised funds to bring the team here to Dubai.
Chang with a deep shot, but too far. McPheron giving chase, and we take a look, and this is what the sport is known for, these intense layouts. layouts, a bid, a dive, terminology that's unique to Ultimate. We have a call on the field, so this one's going to come back. Again, this game is self-refereed. There are no actual referees in the field, and all disputes are handled by the players. Niataya. Waitumbi gets it off to Chang. Chang with the around, opens things up for the offense. And a block from UAE gets it right back. Sorry, not a block, actually. Looked down for a second here. Nieswaiter in action, but gets up to Salaga. Going to the end zone, out in front. Can he chase it down? Yes!
Zach Montague with an amazing save there.
I'm not even sure if that was intended for him.
Certainly was not, it did not look like from our vantage point. Great view.
Comes in from out of frame. Adnan Muliwan, certainly very thankful that he was there.
Muliwan getting the constant reward that is the face full of sand. At least it feels a little bit better when your teammate rescues you. Take here a look at the wide shot. We're here in Dubai. Ross, you've lived here now for about a year. Can you tell us, this is just a fantastic place to hold an event like this?
Right, Jumeirah Beach. I mean, you come here on the weekend or any day during the week, and this beach is popping. There's beach volleyball, there's ultimate going on, there's people training up and down the beach. It's a great spot to get involved in the local community. Right behind us we have Skydive Dubai, so if you're more of the extreme sports fan, you have that. And off in the distance you can see the cranes from Jebel Ali. So it's just a wonderful part of town to get active.
A little bit of everything. And just I can tell you, coming from northern United States, me and Megan are very happy to be here in this beautiful weather today.
Yeah, is it always this beautiful, or is this just for our benefit?
Well, during the summer it can get quite hot. You know, it's generally over 100 degrees or 45 degrees if you looking around centigrade, but it can get quite hot. In fact, back home, how we kind of fear the winter, we kind of have fear for the summer out here, with the temperatures getting up quite hot. A lot of the sports have to move indoors, so we have great inside facilities when the temperature gets a little
just like anywhere
toasty.
else, it's going to have the snow and have to go indoors during the winter. McGurk now tied at threes. Maynard. McGurk takes a look. Looking rapidly around Malloy. And back to McGurk on the sideline. Looking for Maynard. McGurk floating up. And a great block. But it's foul called, and there's an agreement right away, you can see. In this case, it's going to be uncontested foul. Hit him on the hand, and Ultimate is a non-contact sport. That will be called every single time, so the calls rest with the players. And we'll get restarted in just a second. But a great attempt by Ryan Hunter. And we have a timeout on the field. We'll see if Kenya can take advantage of their positioning here on the goal line. And we'll take a short break here in Dubai Sports. We'll be back just a minute. Back here at the 2015 World Championships of Beach Ultimate. Tied at 3, Kenya versus UAE, the home country. Kenya knocking on the doorstep at the goal line after a great attempted block by Ryan Hunter, but a foul, unfortunately, on McGurk, who will give him the disc on the goal line. You can see the setup right now, a lot of space for Kenya to work with. And for Maynard, now going back around, gets it on the reverse cut for the score.
Great end zone play executed by Kenya. You'll notice that Maynard set up on the far side of the field and made a large striking cut. Wasn't able to get it exactly where he wanted, so he planted, turned around. It was an easy break for a score.
Timeout pays off for them. Coming out with a dialed up play there and getting one in.
One of the best times to call timeout when you're not set up in the end zone. You have the opportunity to secure the score.
Especially when you're playing 5-on-5, you just don't have enough people on the field to try and force something in. You really need to get your players set up exactly where you want them with only 10 seconds to get the disc off. If you don't have your team close or downfield, you're going to run out of time too quickly.
Just be amazed at the fantastic shape that some of these players are in. McGurk is on for, I think, what seems like his 6th straight point. And running in sand is very difficult. Megan, you got to do it back in, I believe, 2004. In Portugal, representing the U.S. We see a zone from Kenya. Miss Wander. And Kolski. And just looking away for the disc for a second, leads to a drop, giving it back to Kenya. McGurk.
Baltero putting on a rather intense mark to try and get that disc back for his team.
Tarrant, marked by Niswander. Inside break, long attempt, caught. Kawe gets it back to McGurk. The line, Tarrant goes for the hammer. Too far.
You have to think weather conditions are starting to become a factor here as the wind's starting to pick up off the Persian Gulf. Some of the throws are going, I mean, that throw right there was quite deep, but it has to be affecting the players out there.
You have to be right. When you can see the flags start to move, and I think we can feel a nice breeze up here, and when you throw a hammer that's going to go that high, it's going to pick up with the wind. Again, hammer terminology, an upside down throw that's thrown almost like a baseball over the head. In this case, we see zone defense again from Kenya. They were able to find an opening last time, UAE. Niswander. Quick flip over the top. And again. And what a great catch over McGurk. Putting it up again, no hesitation. Niswander. Back to Kenya, unfortunately. A risky proposition to put a floater up like that.
Yeah, Tarrant from Kenya got in excellent position to do that, but of course, as lofty as it was, that was going way out the sideline.
McGurk. You can hear the stall count going on from the sideline as Kenya's able to work it up very quick. Tarrant, another shot at the end zone, and another one too far for the intended receiver. "20 minutes into this game. This game will be played to 45 minutes plus time for a cap. We'll add one to the highest score and play to that once we reach 45 minutes. Halftime, otherwise we'll be at first team to 7 points, and the game can be played to 13.
Notice at this point that 3 players are back even with the disc, only 1 player downfield as a viable option. It's not conducive to great continuous flow.
We haven't seen either team be able to have that continuous flow that is normally wanted in ultimate as they shoot for the end zone. Nice winder. Back of the end zone. UAE ties it at 4.
Great
Nice
deep throw there right at the back of the end zone. Catches the Kenya team off guard. Easy score for the United Arab Emirates.
Newswender looking grateful that he caught that catch. Been working hard that point. Think he himself was practically every other throw.
It's been him and McGurk going back and forth. Michael McGurk of Kenya trying to lead his team from the backfield. And same with, as you said, Alex Niswinder.
Cross.
You're the players talking about man across. They're matching up for person-to-person defense. Chang picking up in his end zone.
Chang, a friend of McGurk's from the United States. They played on a mixed team together, so they have a lot of chemistry. McGurk asked Chang to come be one of the players to help out with the Kenya team, knowing that Chang, first of all, was a great addition for McGurk, but also a great addition for Team Kenya.
Fearon made some plays of his own thus far in this game, getting downfield and coming back in through the handler spots as well. Chang looking for an option. Fearon gets it back to Chang. Fearon and Chang just working it together for a double fake. Fearon now has to go back. Malloy. Quick flip. Back to Malloy for the score, 5-4.
Chang really seems cool and collected out there under the gun. When the stall count gets quite high, he still keeps his wits about him and doesn't just throw it up in the air, which is what you don't want to happen. You know, he found a good target there in the back of the end zone and really helped develop that play.
Absolutely. Chang is a very collected player, and he will wait the extra second to opt for a more intelligent cut. Certainly he has the artillery to get the disc out of his hands when it's absolutely necessary, but you won't see panic rising in him even as the stall count rises. He's still waiting to look for a cut that will evolve into intelligent flow as opposed to something rushed.
5-4, Kenya leads. It's been a back and forth game with Kenya having a slight edge in the early goings as we approach halftime. Again, first team to 7. We'll take it to half. Megan, one of the things we talk about constantly is we'll talk about a player as a handler or a cutter. For our first time listeners and watchers, why don't you explain the difference between those two positions?
So a handler is someone who has the disc more often. They're really the ones trying to direct traffic or direct offensive flow. Comparing to a few other sports, they're kind of like the point guard in basketball or the quarterback in American football. The cutters are the ones who tend to be the workhorses of the team. They'll be downfield running hard to gain yards for the team. They'll get one look down the field and then they'll reset the disc to the handler, who tends to have the more experienced throws.
And we see those handlers, like you said, a quarterback in American football, but the quarterback anybody can be that. We can have multiple on the team. And frequently here in Beach Ultimate, you'll see 2 or 3, and that's very common also when the game is played on grass. Differences between beach and grass ultimate is beach is played 5-on-5 on a smaller field, while on grass they play 7-on-7 on a little bit larger. Hunter to the end zone, great grab in traffic.
Travis Brownlee laying it out when it matters, originally from Canada. He is typically a handler for the UAE team, but showing that he has what it takes to be a viable downfield option as well with that layout.
It takes plays like that in these close games. It's a matter of who can make those that make the less mistakes, who can make those critical plays in those critical moments. We have a great one right now, 5-5. Both of these teams very evenly matched, and you can see people start to kind of pour in for the day as it heats up here on the beach.
Yeah, we've talked about how beautiful this beach is as a setting for this tournament, but we're really lucky to have this particular venue as well, where we're broadcasting from. We have a stadium seating available, or you can sit on the opposite line where the teams are, get a little bit of shade. Either way, it's a great venue and a great ability to view this game.
Both of these teams too, I mean, we talked a little bit about it at the beginning. Kenya is a team that's trying to grow. UAE is a team that's trying to grow. It's great to see these teams have the opportunity to come out to a world competition like this, be on the international stage where they get their moment in the sun and show what they have. And also just a great exchange of information for the Ultimate community. Just a great event overall. So there's clinics going on both at the beginning and the end, and people always have the opportunity to ask questions. Other teams that are here from around the world, India is an up-and-coming team. And we see a lot of European teams trying to make the next step as launching it for Tarrant. Wide open in the end zone. Kenya gets back on top 6-5.
Wichita couldn't quite get proper position. Tarrant had steps on him all the way. Not to mention the beautiful placement of that disc. You'll notice that that disc was slightly angled, meaning it was flying away and then coming into the hands of Tarrant. It's a very, very difficult type of throw to defend against. When you have steps on your player, in addition to the disc coming at that angle, it's a surefire score for your team.
Brian, going back to what you were saying, when these developing Ultimate nations get to play against some of the top nations out here in these type of tournaments, like the USA, the Canadas, the Philippines, the English, it gives them a sense of where they could be in the coming years. It's such a developing sport out here and in the region. When they get to play these top tier countries, it certainly lights a passion underneath them to see where they could go.
That's a great point, Ross. I went to a college that didn't have a very strong Ultimate program, and then I started playing for a competitive club team, women's club team, Nemesis in Chicago, and we went to nationals for the first time. It elevated my understanding of what good was when I saw what the top teams were, and that helped me grow so much more than the previous 2 years at the University of Chicago had.
It's the only way you can find to really get better, and you see that not only for these developing teams, but the teams that want to take the next step, the Great Britons, the Australians, and the Japanese who have been on top before but need to get back there. They're sitting there in their own countries. Maybe once a year they get the opportunity to play. When you look at North America and you see the club teams that are around, they get to play each other for 3 to 4 months at a time and get game after game of quality Ultimate Frisbee. And so these are just precious moments where they can really see how they stack up.
Now that the English are knocked out of the Cricket World Cup, all the English men and women have to throw their support behind the England team here, huh?
So many hopes riding on that beach team.
McGurk with the pull. Kenya leads 6-5. Minkowski gets it back. Different option underneath, and the wind has really started to pick up, at least the swirling around in different directions. The flags were pointing right towards us a moment ago, and we are on the opposite side of the field. And you can tell that the throws are just not as trustworthy as they once were.
Yeah, that can be really tough to account for when the wind shifts during your game. Of course, when you warm up, you should try and throw at every angle, practice upwind, downwind, crosswind. But when you get into the game and expect one side of the field to be the upwind and one side of the field to be the downwind, and that shifts, it can be pretty hard to make that mental adjustment in the middle of the game.
And Kenya gets it back. McGurk with an opportunity. As we look at one of the young Ultimate fans on the sideline. McGurk, this one would be for half. Malloy. Braviton. McFearon. McGurk. A give and go move. McGurk. And a foul on the play, some contact. With players, no animosity towards each other. Tends to happen when you're trying to run. Although Brownlee did come in at some point, the contact was inevitable. McFearon. Tudo, quick dish. Kenya goes up 7-5 and will take half.
UAE kind of abandoned their defense there in the end zone, going uncontested there with the pitch and catch.
Unfortunate for the UAE. Looks like teams actually are going to play through at this point, so we'll stick with it here on Dubai Sports.
Yeah, that's a decision that can be made by the teams, especially with these matches being as short as they are, only 45 minutes. And when a game is as close as this, you don't want to waste time in the timeout. Some teams are willing to just say, you know what, we'll just switch sides. Let's go to it right now. We want to make the most out of the time we have left.
You could really tell a team's fitness then when it comes down to this. I mean, probably the teams that have been training longer and can have more legs in them will be better deeper into the game.
UAE centers the disc. Eastwinder. Some contact, but playing through it. Going deep to the end zone. It's going to hang. Chang easily snags out of the air for Kenya. Chang launches one. Eastwinder can't get a hand on it. It falls right to the receiver. Osway.
We're told Osway with the catch there is one of the fastest on the team despite being the second oldest at 39, clearly not losing any speed at all. Ran that down with ease.
And a great shot there. We just saw how close Alex Eastwinder was there. That's how close he was to getting a hand on that disc.
Kudos to Chang for helping make that play as well. Notice he was the one who had the D in the end zone, and that was fascinating to watch, really highlighting his intelligence. He was not close to his person, but kept his eye over his left shoulder so that he could monitor the flight path of the disc and then just cut off that angle, was able to get it easily. Within a few steps, realizing he had Osway cutting deep. When you have the second fastest person on the team cutting deep, what else are you going to do but launch it?
We sit here now in a timeout, UAE trying to recover. And as we look down the beach on such a clear day, again, just a great event here at the 2015 World Championships of Beach Ultimate. 75 teams from 25 countries here, over 70 teams. And just teams from almost every single continent here today. Australia, North America, Europe, Asia, Africa.
Courier Islands.
Courier Islands, even made up nations. Chances for teams to represent their real or not so real countries.
And several different divisions as well. Something interesting about Ultimate Frisbee is that we have a mixed division as well, so men and women playing together on the same team. So there's the open division, the women's division, the mixed division, the masters, masters mix, masters women, and grandmasters.
Those masters divisions for those who are a little bit older, still want to play. The open, mixed, and women's divisions are all for anybody, and then afterwards at Masters you have to have a minimum age to participate, and Grandmasters is even after that. Still a great opportunity for everybody to get out here.
But you don't have to play in the Masters even if you're older, as evidenced by Osway. Even UAE has a 39-year-old player, Ryan Shaban, so he could qualify for the Masters team, but would rather offer his experience to the newer team, UAE, which I'm sure they're very grateful for.
As we get back out of timeout, UAE with another mistake. McGurk will take it from the sideline, looking to extend the lead for Kenya. It looks now to be comfortably in the lead. Braviton. Call on the play, looks like a pick. Picks are not legal in the sport of ultimate. At no time can the offense impede the defender from making a play or guarding the person they are trying to guard. Niataya gets it back to McGurk. McPheron. Has to put it to the end zone. Sharp lady pass works out.
Great catch with the contact. Great concentration there.
Niataya with the catch there. He's one of the co-captains from Kisumu. Two other players who just helped make that space available. Number 7, Alan Lemtudo, and number 20, Moses Braviton. I don't know if you noticed, but both of those individuals were grinding that entire point, cutting hard. I think Lemtudo got 5 easy steps on his defender 5 different times that point. He would sprint in, cut hard, and turn on a dime the other direction. He, if you were wondering who's the fastest, if Osway is the fastest, Lemtudo is the fastest player in Kenya. I was watching his tireless effort downfield, very impressive.
Especially through the sand where every single step is just harder than it is in grass with your feet falling through. Going to do extra work. We've seen some impressive athletes thus far. Coming up later today, we have some more games on the slate, and in a couple hours after this, we'll have Ireland versus Japan in the mixed division, and then Great Britain versus Japan in the open division, followed in our final game of Canada versus USA to end the day at 4 o'clock.
That should be a thriller right there. Canada, USA, two of the best teams going at it.
Absolutely the two prohibitive favorites with the Philippines. Dykstra. Vankowski. Nice Wanda. Back to Vankowski. And you hear calls for pick once again. Play will stop. The defender will be allowed to resume position after being picked.
See a lot of hands on knees for the UAE. Fatigue certainly starting to catch in for them. Kenya looks in much better fitness as we have a score.
If they're able to get in the end zone, as you said, Zach Montague. Throw from Adnan Mulyawan. One of the captains of this team.
You'll notice Montague raised his hand calling for that throw, realized he had great position over his defender, wanted to make sure that opportunity wasn't missed.
9-6, and we have under 6 minutes left to go with this one before we reach the cap time. UAE will have to muster up the strength to see if they can mount a fierce comeback. McPheron to Chang. Chang has had some wonderful hucks here today. A term that you might not be familiar with. Basically deep throw as Kenya tries to go deep to McPheron. McPheron with the one-handed grab to the end zone for the score. Maynard reels it in.
McPheron must have a lot of trust for his teammate to throw out that kind of put. He realized that he would be laying him out, but thought, he'll get it.
Athletic play there.
Absolutely.
Exactly what makes this sport exciting. There are so many times that we've seen throughout Ultimate where they think, You take a snapshot of where the person is and where the disc is in the air, and you say there's no way they're going to get there. And by sheer force of will, they're able to run it down and extend just at the last second. And Niswinder calling for the crowd.
You know, talking to McGurk, who is just on the screen, number 64, I was asking him what their focuses were for this game, and the first thing he said, we want to play for each other, because that's what matters most. And plays like that really exhibit what being on a team is all about. When you're willing to lay out your entire body for the catch, you only do that for people you really care about.
The crowd supporting the home country. See what how they can respond. Niswinder goes deep right away. The back of the end zone will stay in. Well, Zach Montague trying to run it down. He had the previous goal. And a nice looking throw, but too far. Montague says hi to the camera. Malloy finds McGurk. Beautiful throw, seeing the spin on that right in front. McGurk able to run into, and a hammer to Tarrant.
Just out of reach there. We were mentioning earlier how UAE, the Ultimate's growing in the region and in the Middle East in general. And tonight, actually, we have the luxury of having Patrick Vanderval coming on Dubai Eye at 7 p.m. on Sports Tonight. He'll be explaining, he's the president of Bula, he'll be explaining everything Ultimate in the region. So we're definitely looking forward to that opportunity to learn a little bit more about the sport in the region.
Yeah, at all these events, they tend to, the World Flying Disc Federation tends to meet up with all of the nations to discuss any changes or any happenings. UAE going to the end zone again. Miscommunication between the receiver and thrower.
I think there was a little too much tilt on that disc too. Wasn't enough airtime for any misdirection.
Kenya responding with their own team spirit on the sideline.
Haven't had a chance to see Ahmed El Shamsi, local Emirati product, out of Al Ain on the beach yet for the UAE. I got a chance to catch up with him before the game. He's quite proud of the strides the team has made the past year, and he's happy to be a part of it. He says his goal is to have more Emiratis on the team the next time around. So he's the one and only right now, but here in the future, we'll hope to see a couple more.
And you see that with a lot of developing Ultimate communities, that's the case. A lot of transplants come in, but you have to start somewhere, and this is a great way to showcase the sport. Again, going deep. Niswinder hanging.
Just out of reach.
Can't make the adjustment.
Yeah, you look at the UAE team, and it's a great aspect of really what the UAE is. I mean, it's kind of a transplant expat type of country where we have people from all over the world coming together. And just looking across the team here, the UAE roster, we have people from Greece, United Kingdom, Canada, Philippines, and the Emirates. So it's just a cluster of everyone coming together, which is definitely great for the sport.
And that's one of the things, spirit of the game and just what makes this community different. And once you know someone's an Ultimate player, there's a trust there, there's an expectation, there's a friendliness. And it's great to see. Osway gets it back to McGurk as we approach the time limit. And Tudo. Back to Tarrant. Malloy saves possession.
And then tries to climb under his defender.
I believe that's called the tunneling strategy. Lesser known. Lemtudo goes for the
Great
end zone.
throw.
Tarrant.
Excellent throw.
Beautiful.
Underhand flick.
Vankowski looking a little exhausted after having to run after Lemtudo all point long, who never stopped the entire time. Interesting fact about Lemtudo, he grew up herding goats.
Oh, a goat herder. Well, we talked about before how the Kenya team does look like they're a little bit better shape. Kenya, of course, known for their distance running, and that has to translate over to the beach game in the late minutes of the game, where you really need that extra energy.
Take a look at some of the helicopters in the air, and if we're lucky, we'll actually have some drone footage later on in the tournament. (11 to 6), we've reached the time cap. We will add 1 to the highest score, and we will play to the game to 12. Assuming that on the field, our time here on the clock on the screen is the same as the timekeeper has been keeping on the field. Fearon set to pull. UAE
Great
will take it in
pull.
the back of their end zone.
Hitting him deep.
Jamal finding Lobo. Zahir Jamal on his own end zone line looking for somebody. Finding Lim. At the Lobo. Looking for an option deep, not available. Stout defense here, and then a discussion going on what the stout count is. Play continues. It's going to come back now. And ultimate, once you start a discussion, that's going to stop play the vast majority of time. So now going on and whether or not there should have been a difference in stall count.
They use the be calm strategy. Breathe, explain, consider, ask, listen, and then make the call.
It's really important when you have self-officiation. There has to be a level of mutual trust and respect. See here the disc is coming back. And it's going to be a stall on the play, meaning 10 seconds expired before Jamal threw the disc. Chang picks it up, goes for the win. McPheron takes it home for Kenya. They take this one 12 to 6.
McPheron was halfway down the field going towards the other direction when Steve was picking up the disc, sprinting down the field, noticing that there was a wide open lane, knowing that Chang could make that put. He's coming in to finish that game.
It's been really the McPheron and Chang show today for Kenya.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in the next round, in about an hour from now, in the mixed division with Ireland versus Japan. Thanks for tuning in.